It really comes down to a mindset. Saying, hey, I'm going to make a commitment and I'm going to work at it, stick with your task until it sticks to you. I'm going to figure out how to make it work. Welcome, Income Hackers. This is your host, Ryan G. Wright. This podcast is for individuals and families who are interested in fast-tracking their financial success. You'll hear experts discussing topics like generating a residual cash flow, building wealth through real estate, financial literacy, creating a family legacy, and overcoming your fears. If you get value out of this podcast, please subscribe, rate, and review the podcast. It's a big help to me. I know you're going to be really excited. This topic is one that's near and dear to my heart. Let me introduce Dan to begin with. Dan Breslin, he is with REI Diamond Show. He's a host of a podcast as well. You can catch him over there and show him some love.
As a real estate investor, as real estate investors, all of us here who have flipped and are flipping houses, I get a satisfaction out of seeing this piece of art that we put together. Yes, it's our contractors. Yes, it's some of our design. Yes, it's us taking the risk. But we put this piece of art, we put our heart and soul into each of these flips that takes us, a month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, some of them.
Yeah.
And then, on the flip side of that, there's this young family or this young couple. They've written letters to us and they send their wedding pictures and they send the ultrasound with the offer and they're buying our houses. And it's their dream home. And we were a part of creating the dream home along the way. So I always wanted to do that. And it was a matter of finding the deal flow. And so wholesaling allowed me to keep revenue coming in and be able to generate deal flow so that I could select the right properties that would work for those flips.
It really comes down to a mindset. Saying, hey, I'm going to make a commitment and I'm going to work at it, stick with your task until it sticks to you. I'm going to figure out how to make it work. And so many people, I believe, give up way too early. And, the first sign of failure, they give up and they throw the towel in. And it's this whole idea of how many setbacks can I pursue or can I deal with? Because eventually one of those is going to be a breakthrough and then the whole thing's going to shift. The whole paradigm's going to shift.
I didn't realize how important it was to sort of ride coattails on the, my business partner's ability to do deals and think of better deals. I mean, as an example, we made $40,000 on a deal where my best, intention would have been if someone would have gave me 10 profit, I would have yeah, let's take the 10. That's practically $20 million to me right now. But
yeah,
he was able to cool-headedly from experience, having been through enough bigger deals than myself at the time. And I was 2-3 years in the business. He was able to no, hold off. This is how we're going to do this, navigate the deal. And the next thing you know, there's 4 times the payday. So even my 50% share was twice what I would have generated on my own. So really it's hey, if there's people that are adding value and have more experience, be careful not to get caught up in greed and think well, I don't want to bring anybody this deal. This is my deal and I want to do the whole thing. Because sometimes the next guy can do the deal and pull a bigger profit out of the same thing that maybe you have on the table right now.
Let's jump to a success. Let's talk about what would you say your income hacker biggest success would be?
My driving goal is not to make a bunch of more money, but it's to find a way to create an opportunity for, any person that I could name on the team at any level or position. How can I expand this person's opportunity to have more of an impact on, this person's life, and then invariably the rest of the people in the team will also benefit.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. One of the things I love about what you said is one of the benefits you have is working with who you want to. You get to choose the environment you work in. You get to choose who you want to work with. Those people on your team. I love being able to say, I get to choose the environment I'm in every single day.
Everybody I meet wants to be in real estate. Oh, I want to be in real estate. Yeah. So they'll say that even when I meet them. Oh yeah, I want to be in real estate. And the wish is different than, the true burning desire in Napoleon Hill's, context, if you will. Think and Grow Rich, read it, get the burning desire and the willingness to run through a brick wall to figure out how to make it work, translates into activities like showing up at the real estate networking events in your area, shows up in looking like a buffoon when you try to make an offer through an agent, and you make a whole bunch of like rookie mistakes, and they're like laughing you out of the office and won't even take your calls. So it's like, finding somebody in the marketplace who's doing what it is that you want to do, and finding a way to bring something of value to that person, so that it may not even be an even exchange. You probably don't have something of value to get the attention, but figuring out some way to do that could be critical for you to make it to the next level.
I'm looking back historically for me, I was always more worried about the risks of somebody that would be a bad apple, I gave up some of the good apples that could have been along the way. And that's one thing I'd say is most people are decent. Most people are good. And so don't be scared about the one bad apple that could cause some problems. If that's the case, let that one go and move on to something else. You'll be further ahead by working with people than you will with avoiding them. And don't let the one bad apple, scare you away, because most people are going to be good. And so take the chance, take the risk.
It's a seller's market almost across the board, all over the country. The inventory is very low right now. And even when the inventory is not low, you can still get a deal that's profitable enough to justify someone else bringing cash, bringing contractors, paying you an assignment fee. If you figure out how to be the source of the deals, like, you are not going to go hungry.
One of the big reasons why I do the podcast is so that I can put together the fundamentals, the principles of success. It forces me to come and do these, and so that my kids, my two boys, can learn from it. So how are you teaching income hacking to the next generation, kids, grandkids? How did you learn it from your dad, people in the community? If you're married, a significant other or a business partner, how are you helping them learn these principles, get on the same page financially?
Well, it's tough. So, strictly within the family, I don't know that it's really happening yet. My daughter's 17 and she's more concerned with high school things than, figuring out the rental properties that I own and that kind of stuff. I'll say because some of the action items I am doing is I'm setting up my rentals and I'm keeping track of stuff so that if I die tomorrow, the life insurance policies, all the rentals, everything is going to be easily accessible by the people that will sort out my estate. So I feel like I have set up for at least my, daughter some semblance of a plan, so it's not a complete nightmare and like my property doesn't turn over to the state like I've seen happen, or go to tax sale or anything else. So I'm trying to make sure that the management's in place for at least the passive income things to easily transfer to the next generation, which maybe as she gets a little older, I'll get serious about teaching her the business. That said, my business philosophy, it has been and has been really effective with, usually it's younger people. I mean, it's been people in the early 20s for me that have become business partners of mine who are running markets. That's not across the board. I have some, people that are older than myself too, running some, important roles and positions in the company. But the people around me, I take it upon myself to bring them up to speed on a lot of important things. We espouse saving and living below your means here, and making sure that you have money so that someday when you figure out how to buy the rental properties that you think are going to be the most effective for you to own long term, and you've gotten the 2 years worth of tax returns and made yourself bankable, like, you're in a position to start investing in some real estate like we're talking about. So we are not just like my partners aren't just treated as like, all right, let's just flip these houses and you do whatever you want with the money. And people, like, we're not going on vacations. We're not like sipping the margaritas we're very conservative, and we like really push a lot of that stuff, from the top down, clean across the board. It's work hard, save your money, pay your taxes, and make sure that you're figuring out how to invest this stuff. And like, we've really had momentum.
Dan's talking about income hacker principles. We talk about living below our means. And when we live below our means, we create what's called personal margin. So it's the difference between what we spend and what we make. With that personal margin, we can then invest that margin. The difference between what we make and what we spend becomes the personal margin that we can then invest, and then we can grow that investment. I completely echo your sentiments, Dan, around I've heard too many horror stories of people quitting their job. They, watched a podcast like this and then like, I'm going to quit my job tomorrow. I'm going to burn the boats. And, like Cortez burned the boats. And I heard a guy that had a family and he, quit his job and had a great job, and it didn't work out the way he thought. And they ended up in a horrible situation. So, quitting your job is maybe a lofty goal for you, but once you start understanding 401k benefits and matching it, and you say, hey, I'll do a couple of deals and, partner with somebody like Dan and, do part of it, find the deal and do that on the side and make some extra money and compound that and understand compound interest and other investment opportunities. I mean, you can create that. And that's one of the things we do is create a financial blueprint for people.
Just do it. Get it done. Don't hesitate.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Dan. You've been wonderful here. I'll just close and wrap us up by saying, make it a profitable day, everybody, and we'll see you next time. If you got value out of our discussion today, please subscribe, rate, and review the podcast. It's a big help to me. Also, please share with a friend. Nothing is more valuable than creating financial friends who are like-minded. You can do that by inviting them to listen to the Income Hacker podcast. Bye for now, and make it a very profitable day.